Welcome to your very first lesson. We're going to dive straight in by understanding that today we live in a very peculiar time. Obesity is at the highest levels it's ever been and is predicted to continue rising, and with it, other and various health conditions associated with poor health and lifestyle choices. So, we're going to take a few minutes to look at the short history of human reliance on food. And we're starting here because, as Steve Jobs said, you cannot connect the dots until after the events have taken place. And by taking a few moments to really understand the journey our biology has been on and evolved through, it's going to allow us more power to wield those principles I spoke about earlier so you can make better, more life enhancing choices to live a greater quality of life, doing the things you love to do with the people you love to do them with. Now, it's important to understand that through human history, we have had one key enemy. That was before war, that was before any kind of conflict. This was the enemy that we as humans fought every single day. And that was famine. Unlike what the books may represent and the pictures of the romantic caveman period or Paleolithic era, resources were scarce. People had to actively go out and hunt. Farming it wasn't even a concept in the earliest parts of humanity, and it was grueling work and more often than not, unsuccessful. Everything about it was a hardship. You could even argue it became one of the main driving factors for battle in those days anyway, just to claim other resources to see that your tribe or your people would survive above everything else. Life back then was a daily struggle, and it all looked the same. Even today, when we interview the last remaining hunter-gatherer tribes in Africa, when they are pulled aside and asked, what makes you happy? And they sit and they think, and finally they come out with the answer that they are happy when they find meat or honey or milk. That's what makes them happy. And to take that one step further, when the guy asked him, what was the best day of your life? And it wasn't the day he met the love of his life. It wasn't the day that he had his first child. It was the day he found all three of those food items together in the same day at the same location. That was the day that was the happiest in his life. That battle for resources, just like the curse of Sisyphus from the ancient Greek mythology, where he is forever punished to roll that boulder to the top of the hill, only to have it roll down to the bottom again and start every single day. Famine has been such a key part of our history that in the late 1800s, of recorded history, now this is important to understand, recorded history, that there were 16.4 million people dying per year of famine. We're not counting the countries that were too undeveloped to give us these figures, so the total is probably a lot higher than what we're knowing right now. But as humans continue to improve their technology and get better at farming, get better at producing, get better at storing food, the famine has drastically decreased, especially in the West, to the point where it is not even considered a problem for us anymore. My grandmother still remembers the rationing period when she was growing up and how every family was restricted. So we're talking so recent of history that we were doing battle with famine that it's just one generation away from living memory. And she would remember every family would be brought down to the bare minimum of food, as it was rationed out, it would create these black markets where people would try and trade different things to get a little bit more food. And that was all you got. So we really understand what it's like to survive on the bare minimum, to crave those kind of resources. And it's from that constant battle with famine that our bodies evolved to do something incredible, especially once they left Africa, where food became less and less abundant as the seasons become changing. Our bodies had to adapt to survive, to become incredible at storing food, at storing energy. During the periods of spring and summer, to overindulge, to seek out food and eat as much as possible. So we did put on fat. So then it would see us through those winters, to see us through those periods where food was not readily available. That's the one key concept I want you to grasp here. We have evolved to store fat. Think about dogs. If you put a bowl of dog food down, your dog will eat the whole thing. You put another a tin of dog food down, the dog will come back and it will keep eating and eating and eating. It doesn't have its ability to switch it off because it was also a scavenger animal growing through its history. So being able to store fat during times of abundance became imperative to our future survival. And unfortunately now, fortunately, our ability to solve this problem has exceeded our ability, our biological ability to evolve as well. So with technology improving and our environment improving, protecting us from all of the conditions that nature threatens us with, our biology is now left trying to catch up. And so our ability to put on fat and to hold fat is probably one of the main reasons that kept us alive and surviving to fight another day and keep evolving, is now actually working against us. Especially as when we start looking at the types of food out there on the market today, it is not of the highest quality, but it is of high calorie, which means we are eating things far and above any kind of energy level found in nature. And by energy levels, I mean the sweet sugars, like probably the most densest calorie thing found in nature would either be big lumps of fat, which the quantity you'd have to eat would be incredible, but most likely it would have been honey. Just per pound of what you'd have to consume would be the highest amount. But now you can get more than a whole day's worth of calories in a single meal if you go to the right restaurant. It's not too difficult to find, and the nutrients within that food aren't doing the job that we need to help us continue flourishing. And that damage that's being done inside our bodies is now trying to be repaired through other means. As I said earlier, obesity is on the rise, and it's only predicted to get worse because where our bodies are now working against us with that taking on of fat, we have to step up. Now, this is where we have to become more responsible and consciously be more aware of our environment so we can greater control what comes in, so we know what's going to come out. I want you to think of this as the nutrition enlightenment, where instead of relying on the automatic processes that your body goes through of just getting fat and then counting on a harsh winter where there's no food to deal with all that food you've just taken in, we're instead now going to become more active consciously and use our mind to be more selective and to choose what's better for us, for our future. And this is where we're going to get into it. We're going to look at navigating the difference of scarcity to excess, where we began having a very, very limited access to any kind of resource, to the point where we have now an abundance of food. You can, not only can you just walk 5 minutes down the road, you could have it delivered, so you don't even have to expend any energy to have food brought to you. But I would even challenge and say the scarcity of amount of food we were getting has now been replaced with the scarcity of the quality of food that we're getting. And that's where we're going to start looking at how to harmonize our modern day environment with our ancient genetic programming. So your task today is to spend a few minutes asking yourself how you can be more conscious about the food you buy when you go to the grocery store. When you look back at your shopping cart, what food is mostly in there? Are you thinking about the highly nutritious food that's going to help build you up? Or are you looking for those quick, sharp snacks that are going to help you get through the day, or something to eat when you're bored or wanting to just sit back and watch Netflix? What foods have snuck into your environment that may not be in line with your goals? If you're wanting to lose weight, for example, when was the last time you did a stock check of your cupboards and see if there's any crisps or snacks or chocolates hiding in the background, where you kind of in the back of your mind know it's there, but you don't really want to recognize that it's there? That's something that I used to do. How much of that is also sneaking in? And until the next session, good luck.